Hi guys. So let's move on to the second segment, which is B, jumbled segments. This also will be included in your question paper and it's very easy. They would give it to you, give for about 1 mark. So it's very easy and there is no way you could really go wrong or make mistakes. So let's go through it. Rearrange the following words or phrases to form meaningful sentences. So the words or phrases. Phrases are nothing but short sentences, okay, which may not give you complete meaning. That is what is phrase. Now, the first example is, if you look at it, initially don't get hassled, don't get really tense about it because you think that, how on earth will I put everything together? So you might just think that, it's not something that I can figure out, but nothing to worry. You need to just ensure that, go through it and see the words which are preferably the important words, and then you would understand that, okay, let me first use the subject, let me use the verb and see, let me use the object and see, because any sentence will have a subject, verb and an object, as you know. So try first with the subject, then try with the verb, then try with the object, and you would see that one of these three options will and certainly work. Alright, now if you look at the first one, is it important to our environment? So, and by the way, it is environment and not environment. So it is environment. Please use that. You would understand that it's not making sense. So what is my option? My option is, can I use important? Is it to our environment? No, it will not work. To our environment, important, is it? No, it will not work. So if you look at it, the sentence is not falling in place. So when you use it as your pronoun at the beginning, then you would see that it is making complete sense. It is important to protect our environment. So that is how the sentence forms, and it becomes very simple and easy. The first time, you'd be wondering whether I'm getting it right or not, but don't worry. It's all, multiple times when you keep practicing it and when you keep doing a trial and error of this, you'd see that, it'll completely fall in place. And yes, let me also tell you that, some sentences are confusing. That's nothing to worry. In your examination, they'll not give you that kind of confusing sentences, because only in competitive examination, to make it very difficult and competitive, they might give you those kind of sentences. But in your second PU examination, 100% you'll have very simple sentences, and at the same time you would not have those kind of answers which might have another option to it, or it could be a possibility. So don't worry about it. So you will have only simple sentences. Second one, the next one, either the example one, now we are moving to the second one, or from the exercise, the first one. Own every its language country has. So the moment you read something like that, the first thing that should come to your mind is has should be somewhere in the middle. Okay, and language should be towards the end, because it is talking about language. So that should be the clue that this sentence should give you. So the moment you read this, you'd see that every country has its own language. So you cannot have it any other way. You cannot say language, every country has its. No. Its own language has every country. No. Those all options would be grammatically incorrect. So every country has its own language. That is the perfect way of forming the sentence. Any other way could be wrong. Alright, moving to the second one. Divided countries, continents, the, is, into, and world. So all these are jumbled words. Absolutely jumbled words. So now if I have to see what is my subject over here, there are three subjects if you look at it, or three important words. One, countries. So you know that it is going to be talking about countries. You also know that it is going to be talking about continents, and you also know that it is going to be talking about world. Now what we would do is, let's put the countries. let's say, the countries is divided into, no, you cannot have a country divided over here. Can you say the continents are divided? No, you can. But then, you have a word called world. World can have countries and continents. So it is so logical. So look at it. The world is divided into countries and continents. Isn't it, children? So it's as simple as that. So is the world is singular, and hence you're using is, and then the word divided, because you see countries and continents which are following. So what you do is, country is smaller and continent is bigger, and hence you put countries first and then you put the continents. You might just ask me, can I not put continents and then can I not put countries? Yes, that is a valid question. Why did I put countries? I have put the smaller one first and then the bigger one. I have done it in the ascending order, and hence the world is divided into countries and continents. So this is your second one. I hope it is easy. Moving to the third one. Very deforestation to be can prove damaging to Mother Earth. So again, what do you think could be a subject? The subject definitely is, you're talking about deforestation, you're talking about Mother Earth. So all the rest of the words, they are your prepositions, they are your verbs, and they are all the gliding words. So what is that you need to remember is, now what am I talking about? I'm talking about deforestation, and I'm also involved with Mother Earth. So these are the two words that are there. So what you need to do is, let me try to figure out. Mother Earth can prove damaging? No, Mother Earth will never prove damaging. She is the one who's taking care of us and saving us, isn't it? So it is not Mother Earth. Then the next thing is deforestation, and I'm sure last year also I did talk to you about deforestation. I did talk to you about global warming. I did tell you that what kind of damage that human beings have caused to Mother Earth. So now if you look at it, the word should be deforestation. We need to start with that. Deforestation can prove to be very damaging to Mother Earth. And yes, that is so true, which means cutting off the forest, which means cutting off the trees, which means, we are displacing the animals. And that is why we see a lot of wild animals are coming into city dwellings. I remember talking to you about the leopards, talking to you about elephants, those all, and of course, we know that monkeys are all around. So these are all the animals which are coming to the human habitat because there's a lot of deforestation. Deforestation means, we are completely destroying the forest. All right. So this is what it is. The third one, deforestation can prove to be very damaging to Mother Earth. Moving on, fourth one. Fourth one is, it talks about should each individual his own plant a tree birthday. So if you look at it now, my subject should be, it cannot be should, each and all that. It should be individual, or you're talking about birthday. So you're talking about two words specifically. Identify those two words. So when you identify those two words, you would see that individual, that could be a possibility. Birthday is another possibility. So when you say individual, you may not want to start with individual as a word because you have other words also, and it is in the phrase. So each individual. Okay, so each individual, the moment you say that, you already have a subject over there. Then what would be the next one logically? It is your verb. So each individual should. Should is your verb. So what should you do? Plant a tree on his birthday. So let's say Mahatma Gandhi's birthday or Environment Day or something like that, where you are saying that each individual should plant a tree on his birthday, on a special person's birthday. You're doing it so that you can save the environment, and at the same time you are also doing a lot of good to Mother Earth. So that is the sentence. Each individual should plant a tree on his birthday. So on his birthday, I have always told you that in his birthday, no, it is on his birthday because you're specifically talking about that person's birthday, an event. and it's an event, or it is it's something which is happening to that person. So it is on his birthday. Is that clear? Moving on, the fifth one. Uh, to keep, we encourage must the earth green afforestation. So if you look at it, now what is to be included over here? Yeah, it's a little confusing. So the previous one, the third one, it had deforestation. Here we are talking about afforestation. It is completely a good thing. Deforestation is damaging to Mother Earth. Afforestation is encouraging, and at the same time we are talking about saving the environment. So now you know in the fifth one that we are talking about afforestation, and we're also talking about earth. So these are the two important things. In any case, if you see that the earth green, it's already there together, so you don't have to break those words in any case. Keep them the way it is. It is in segments, and keep them the way it is. And all that we need to do is, look at the sentence where we can try and form the sentence. If you look at it, we must encourage afforestation to keep the earth green. So if you look at it, if you unjumble all the segments, if you look at it, you see that, we have to start with the word which gives you sense. So it is we. And when we is your subject, okay, and must is your verb, and encourage is also your verb. Afforestation is your noun or your subject. To keep the earth green. So what are you doing? To keep the earth green. So you're doing something to ensure that, Mother Earth is healthy and green. So that is the sentence. We must encourage afforestation to keep the earth green. So that's your fifth one. Moving on. Humility, a lot of simplicity has with to do. So these are your segments. Now what do I do with these segments? These segments, I need to ensure that, I talk about it and make a complete sentence, a proper sentence. Now you're talking about simplicity, you're talking about humility. So these are the two subjects that you have. So when you have these two subjects, what would you do? You have to either start with humility or with simplicity. Now let us say humility has to do with simplicity. It could be, but the greater meaning, the better meaning is simplicity is your subject, and has is your verb. A lot to do with humility. Simplicity is to be very simple, and humility is to be humble, to be, to just not be throwing the weight around. That is humility. So if you look at it, simplicity has a lot to do with humility. With humility, because you're talking about that's related to it, and hence you use the word with humility. Is that clear? I hope these 6 sentences are clear to you. Let me move on to the next one. The next one is the 7th one. So, the 7th one says, used as a to highlight newspapers are powerful weapon social problems. So, children, if you look at it, you're talking about newspapers, you're talking about weapon, you're talking about social problems. So, now just join the dots. Very simple. Newspapers are used as a powerful weapon to highlight social problem. Over here there is a mistake. The mistake is, it is when you're using you don't use weapons. You don't use weapons. So, newspapers are used as a powerful weapon to highlight social problems. If you look at it, the newspapers over here are, newspapers, you're talking about it in plural, so it is are, the word comes. Then you have used as a powerful weapon. So this is used as a powerful weapon to highlight social problems. So highlight social problems here. What is the purpose? Using as a powerful weapon to highlight means, let's say there is poverty. Let's say, now let's talk about the COVID-19 situation, which is more relevant and pertinent. We see that, a lot of them have lost their jobs, especially the daily wage workers, especially people who have been in jobs which have not been very secure. And even a lot of teachers, forget about anybody else, a lot of teachers have lost their jobs. I've heard in Kalburgi and also in Belgaum and in some places in Hassan. I've been reading a lot of newspaper and I've heard that, teachers have gone to the extent of selling vegetables. Some people have taken up painting. A physical education teacher has taken up painting because, they've lost their jobs all of a sudden. Where would they go? And some people have also taken masonry. They've also taken up the coolie jobs. So it's very, very devastating. It's unimaginable, what all things are doing. So newspapers are really a powerful weapon. So they will tell you what the social problems are. At this point in time, whatever problems are there, it can play a very, very positive role. And that is why they have used, the newspapers are used as a powerful weapon to highlight social problems. So I hope you have understood the 7th bit of it. Now let's go to the 8th bit of it. Now if you look at it, sport and business, world, in the also, rife is corruption of. So the moment you read this, you should understand that, we are talking about corruption, you're talking about business, we're talking about sport and world. The rest all would be joining and the rest all would be joining the dots to see, what goes best in these sentences. So if you look at it, can I say sport and business, world in the corruption? No, it may not make sense. Can I say world in the corruption of sport? No. So if you look at it, we are talking about the subject which is corruption. So identify that. Corruption is also rife. Rife means which is predominant, which is there as a menace. Okay? It is rife in the world of sport and business. We all know that what a problem corruption is in, everywhere in the world, in India as well. It is very, very, it's prevalent. It's prevalent and there is no escapism. Here the sentence is, corruption is also rife in the world of sports. They say that, sports is something which is very pure and there should be some sanctity to it. However, you cannot maintain that everywhere. When there are bad people, you'll always have corruption. So we all should fight corruption. So corruption is also rife in the world of sport and business. So this is what the 8th sentence is all about. Moving on to the 9th one. The 9th one is, rules certain and regulations follow must we. So very simple. I am sure I don't need to give you any explanation, because rules and regulations, will always come together and you would have heard it right from your childhood. So very simple. And a word should be, the subject should be we. So we, and then must follow certain. Certain means specific rules and regulations. Very simple, right? So that's a 9th one. And the last one for the day is the 10th one. If you look at it, old people, helpful, kind, and two should be one. So what should the problem here? It's very confusing to see that, do you think old people? Should you think one? What should be the one? You might as well think that, probably old people. But then if I put old people right at the beginning, I may not have a sentence which could make any sense at all. So if you put should be, no, it may not make sense. Can I start with two? too should be, or too kind, too helpful. No. So the correct sentence is, when that is what I was telling you about trial and error. Put this here, put this that, try and precede that with words and see, what fits in. And then you would come to realize that one should be. So when you say should, the verb be should be there. One should be kind and helpful to old people. So it is to old people. So you are talking about it. It's the most important thing that you're talking about. But who should be? One should be. When you say one should be, we all should be. So we all should be kind and helpful to old people. So this is your next bit of it, which is about your jumbled segments. Is that clear, children? So this is what grammar, these are the two parts which I wanted to cover. So in summary, today I covered articles and prepositions, and next is I covered jumbled segments. So I request you to go through it, understand it, and practice it. If you have any questions, you can always get back to me. I will upload this in YouTube today. And in case there is any problem watching it, or if there is any technical glitch, you can get back to me. You can give me the feedback so that I will do that. Okay, I will correct it, and I will try and see, I can give you another option. However, please watch this on YouTube and subscribe to my channel. Okay, thank you so much, and all of you have a good day. Bye.